We really like this new tractor that we bought, but it needs armor. This thing is not built to be used by a Bensing male. Everywhere you look on this thing, there's just something to poke a hole into. And what I'm going to start with today is something that I can just buy off the shelf, and it's this brush guard from Messick's. It should be pretty straightforward. It just goes right in here, and you have to drill a couple of holes, and then it just mounts in there. And that should protect this very not robust grill guard, because we actually ended up destroying our old tractor by having a small branch, maybe that big, poke a hole into the radiator, and I had to then replace the radiator. And my dad, not thinking about it because it made a big mess and there was fluid everywhere, he thought he would just wash off the engine and ended up cracking the engine block after 20 years of use. It couldn't take basically being heated up, and then he sprayed it off. Wasn't thinking about it, but he had done it many times before, and that was the final straw. So goodbye, old Kubota, you did us well. So to try and prevent that from happening on this new machine, I'm going to build some armor out for it. And on the other side, I actually have started a prototype for an area that we think is very vulnerable, and it's been working really well, but I need to make a final version of it, and I'll have a video on that. But all over this thing, I'm going to be adding little bits of metal and sheet metal and whatnot to actually try to armor this thing up to protect it from our abuse. So let's start with an easy one. So there's really not a lot to it. It's a brush guard that should fit in there, and it comes with a whopping 2 bolts, 2 nuts, and a drill to drill the holes. One of the things that's special about this is that it needs to be able to pivot down with the brush guard, because you need that to be able to get into the engine compartment area. So it actually ends up mounting to these bolts here. There's 2 kind of hinge rotation bolts. So I got to take them off first.
On my unit, the nuts need a 27mm socket to get off.
Son of a gun.
There are 2, with one acting as a lock nut. You'll need to use a wrench or a socket on the bolt head as well, or it'll just spin free. You'll then repeat this on the other side.
On a side note, this is pretty neat how it handles having some pressure without it being too tight, because this needs to be able to rotate on here. It actually has 2 of these cupped washers, which is it's called a bevel spring, I believe. And when they push together and get compressed, it creates a pressure, but also it has a give to it, so you can kind of get the right tension that you need here and not have everything just too tight. I like that. Carefully trying to get this just right so nothing falls and my life is easy, but I need room to be able to slip the brush guard in here. And if I'm lucky, everything will stay. All right.
With the lower bolts put back in position, you can go ahead and reinstall the nuts. I put one on each side and tightened them up evenly. I couldn't find any sort of torque for these, so basically tighten them until the Kubota brush guard doesn't jiggle, but not so much that you flatten out the Belleville springs. Then add on the locking nut to each side and tighten the locking nut against the nut behind it. Now it's time to locate where to drill the top mounting holes. Since the Kubota brush guard doesn't have flat faces, this Messick's brush guard insert doesn't sit flushly without a little assistance. I used some F-clamps to get everything into position. I noticed there was a bit of a gap between the sides of the Kubota brush guard and the Messick's insert, so I found some washers I could use later to fill the gap. Now it's time to drill. Before I started, I realized that the F-clamps I chose weren't really that stable, so I replaced it with a better quality clamp. The drill bit that comes with the kit isn't great, but I figured I'd use it because the Kubota brush guard is likely a slightly harder steel and wanted to avoid dulling one of my good bits. I'm going to use the holes in the insert to position the drill so I don't need to worry about it drifting. I recently ran out of cutting fluid and bought a variety of new lubricants. I decided to try this paste called Lubricut that I never tried before. Since I'm cutting horizontally in it, theoretically should remain a paste until it's consumed and not just drip away. It did work pretty well. Each hole took me about 3 minutes of actual drill time to get through. I could have been more aggressive in applying pressure, but I wanted to give this drill bit a fighting chance, and it actually held up fine. Now that the holes are done, I checked the bolt and sure enough it fits. Now I just need to clean up the holes a little and install the upper hardware. I really like deburring my cuts, so I got out my new no-good deburring kit and used the countersink tool to clean up the holes. Since this tractor is basically brand new, I'm trying to be kind to it and maintain it better. So since I've drilled a hole and exposed bare steel, I decided to do a quick paint job for the holes. I actually have some official Kubota orange spray paint, but I used some quick drying automotive primer to keep this project moving along. With the paint dry enough, I installed the bolts and nuts with the washers I grabbed to act as a spacer. With everything installed, I give the tilt function of the brush guard a test to make sure everything works.
This was pretty easy to install. Would have been even easier if I used one of my better drill bits, but I just wanted to use the one that was in there. But it's on here now, and you know, I think these holes are a little bit too big. We'll see as we use it if stuff seems to really get through there, or if the combination of the bucket and this will kind of keep it from getting down into the interior area. But for now, this will work. And I could always add some kind of inner piece that is even a finer mesh of some kind in the future, or make a whole new one. But for now, all I had to do was drill and install this quick and easy, so that's good. But I got a lot more armor that this thing needs, because now we have a grapple, and that grapple just lets branches and stuff get really close to the tractor if you're not grabbing everything perfect. If you're trying to grab a big pile of stuff, there's a lot of little pieces here and there. And it's just a matter of time till something gets in and breaks something. So the armor is becoming a priority on my list of things to do around here. I hope you enjoyed this video and found my little walkthrough on how to install one of these things helpful, because it doesn't come with any directions, so if you don't know what you're trying to do, it's a little confusing, but it is straightforward, and I suggest getting one for your tractor if Messix happens to make something that's compatible, because at the very least it'll protect you from the big nasty stuff getting through there when you're not paying attention. If you found it useful, give the video a like and maybe leave a comment down below. It helps other people find this video, and it helps me know that you actually found this useful. And as always, have a good one.